Hey everybody, welcome to Ref Time, powered by RTS and produced by Coraggio Media. I'm Tanya.
And I'm Crane. We'll be covering rules, plays, points of emphasis, and all things official. And welcome to another segment of Ref Time. We have one of our favorite co-workers here that's worked with us in the past, Mr. Rules. Bob, Mr. Rules Childers. How you doing, Mr. Childers?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on today.
Thank you for coming on,
yes,
man.
we appreciate it.
To this.
Absolutely.
And I meant that. A lot of people in the officiating world see you as Mr. Rules. You've probably heard that before.
I have heard that
yes.
before.
Okay.
Believe me, and when we do our classes and we're training new people, we tell them,
We
you know,
use your
if
name.
you need to know rules,
Call
Bob
Childers.
Childers.
Because I can track it down.
Yes.
It's not that I know them, but I have an idea of where they are at.
Yes.
Okay.
And I do
Yes.
know them, but
Yeah.
I have an idea of where they are at, and so I can support maybe what they called
Right.
with a rule. One way.
So
with
do
the
you
reference.
think that's because you spend a lot of time in the book and you've focused on where rules are in the book?
It's because I've been doing this for 38 years, and I
Yeah.
read the rule book still.
Okay.
Yes.
You have to stay up on those things.
Yeah. So, and a lot of people will ask, people outside of officiating will ask about the rules, and I say, well, that rule was like the over the back.
over the back.
There is no such thing.
Thank you.
The old there is no such thing.
So when did that used to be a rule, didn't it?
No.
It wasn't.
There's
it was
never there've never been a reference in the book to over the back. All right?
So what
And
was this then? What? Because that's
seen
you've-
officials do that?
That's what us officials did
okay.
to define that when the outside guy displaced the inside guy.
Okay, so we didn't
had a
do the
foul.
push.
No.
You did this.
That
Okay.
some people would do that. I never did that. It was always
Okay.
a push.
This was
Oh,
never a mechanic.
This is not a mechanic.
Well, I know it's
Never.
not.
Now, but
Never.
Was it
Was
ever?
it ever?
Never.
Never.
Wow.
Never.
Not even
unless-
professional.
Not unless it was before I started 38 years ago.
Because I know the people that trained me were pretty good. Clark Hamilton,
That's same
Dave
here.
Gentile.
Yep.
What was
I know. We always forget his name.
tall guy? It'll come to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was trained by some of the best locals,
Sure.
and I never saw any of them do this.
Yeah.
Correct. Because it's not in the book. And again, you go back to the mechanics book, or you go back to the rules book, you can go back to the case book. Those are the things that should drive what we do.
Right.
Mhm.
And so if it's not in the mechanics book, let's try not to do it.
Mhm.
Now,
Right.
there are times, we've seen guys hit the top of their head
That's a
to
college
define
mechanic.
there was contact. That's
Right.
college mechanic.
Right.
It's not a high school mechanic.
Correct.
And so when I'm doing high school games, I try to do high school mechanics as
Mhm.
best as we can. You
Yeah.
know, did a guy trip somebody? Sometimes I've kicked behind my heel just to, block, and he tripped
And then
him.
sell it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are things, but if we go back to what the Federation wants us to do, and those are people that have a lot more vested interest in it than I do,
Mhm.
even, because they have 50 states that they service. They have all sorts of areas of the country that are playing basketball, and they try to come down to those 10 rules
Mm-hmm.
that define how we call the game.
Mm-hmm.
So so I have to understand that while it may not look right or do right, that's what they want. And
Right.
so let's
How-
follow what they do.
How about the new mechanic that we went to last year, where it used to be we had a difference between a player control and a team control foul, and now it's a combined
Correct.
effort to where it's literally just the team control mechanic.
Correct.
And for someone who's been doing it for 38 years one way,
Yeah.
I've been doing it 16 years one way, and now all of a sudden they're saying, okay, we're going to take this mechanic away and we're just going to use this one. It's been really hard to adjust. I don't know about for you, but for me, like when it's a team or player control foul, it's hard for me to not want to, punch.
It. Yep.
And so it's like, I'm here and I'm like, this just doesn't feel right,
Gotcha. Well, and this is always, foul.
Yes.
Player control has always been the mechanic for us. We would always punch. We would come back and punch at times because we adopted that in the college thing. And again, it was not a high school mechanic.
Okay.
So and what they did, I believe it was a couple of years ago, it was just a fist out. Was our
player control.
Team control foul.
Oh,
It's a team control foul. So
Okay.
this was always punch.
I always thought this was team
This is player control.
and that was player.
Yeah, no.
I guess
Behind the
I'm-
head. Behind the
okay.
head was player. This is we punched it. It was a team control, and then we would have to go and give it like a block mechanic team
yes.
control, and that way people knew that the ball was going to be out of bounds. We weren't shooting a 1-and-1. It was
Right.
the same, and so we've adapted it to
Right.
now we're player control or team control, so everybody knows we're not shooting free throws.
Yeah.
So, but it is hard. It is hard, and it's hard for those officials that work multiple levels.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
those that work high school. Now I only work high school only now. I used to do some women's college, but when you go back and hey, I'm just pointing out of bounds instead of stopping the
Yep.
clock.
Yep.
Those are things that
No backcourt count for
no backcourt count
college.
in college, but yeah, we have a count
Yep.
and we have a 5-second holding, dribble, hold, dribble, whatever,
Yep.
or hold, dribble, hold.
I know when I'm going to do the women's college, I always have to remind myself, okay, if they're holding the ball, I'm counting. If they're dribbling the ball, there's nothing.
Yeah,
So
and in high school, we have to
yeah.
have to be cognizant of that because they want the game to progress.
Mhm.
The idea,
Yeah.
and we want to reward good defense still.
Right.
That's
And in
Right.
college, you have a
Right.
shot clock. That's why they don't
Correct.
have all those other counts.
correct.
Now, Bob, I want to ask you, why did you get into
I was
officiating?
going to say, let's backtrack because
So 38 years ago, would have been just recently married, just starting to have family. Saw an article in the newspaper, which Clark Hamilton was going to do an officiating school. They were looking. Didn't have enough officials back then either.
yeah.
So they offered it through. I think it was Fort Wayne Parks and Rec.
Correct. That's where he
so
worked.
Clark set this school up. I think there were 38 people that went through it.
Wow.
Wow.
At that time. And of the 38, about 5 years afterwards, there were only about 5 of us still
Right.
doing it.
Right.
Um,
But even 38 to start, that's
he
That's
had,
a lot.
he had a big group, and it was interesting to me. And I've always enjoyed sports.
Mhm.
I was like 4'0" in high school. I didn't grow until after high school, and so
you went to Bishop Lewis.
I was at Bishop Lewis.
Okay.
Yep. Excuse me. And so I saw it and talked to the wife. I said, this would be something I could do. I enjoy it. She said, yeah, go ahead. And so it offered
She
us
said,
a little.
go ahead.
Yeah, it offered us a little bit of extra money at the time. You
Mhm.
know, I was working retail, and so, but I got into it, and I just absolutely love it. I still enjoy it, and when I stop enjoying it, I will absolutely walk away. I
Yeah.
will say that's the end of my time. So, and Clark did a nice job. It was Clark Hamilton. I think Ed Coors was a
I
older
remember that
official.
name. I
Ed
remember that name.
Coors was one of the first Big Ten officials. He worked on the women's side.
Okay.
And I remember watching Ed do high school games when I was at Bishop Lewis as a fan or as a manager, and going, yeah. And he was always very good.
Mhm.
And so started doing it and just have thoroughly enjoyed it. Had opportunities to meet some great people. And
Now, what did you love so much? You said you absolutely loved it. What made you
I love the
it?
game of basketball. The game of basketball has everything in it that a sport should have. It has physicality. It has finesse. It still has coaching.
Mhm.
Speed.
It's not speed. It has there's a lot, and it has a time limit.
Yes.
So I know I'm going to be done in about an hour and 30 minutes. So
Unless you go into triple overtime or
and
so.
that happens.
Yeah.
And that happens. But again, they're still, hey, they get another 4 minutes to try and get a winner. Or they
Yeah,
get another 4
exactly.
minutes.
Exactly.
So those things have just the basketball. And so, but when I got my license at that time, it was the same as it is now. Hey, is there another sport that you want to do? So I took my baseball license as well
Okay.
at that time. So I've been licensed in those two. And about 10 years after that, I think I got my football license.
So,
So.
What has been your main sport then?
Basketball.
And do you do the other sports still?
Yes. Yeah, I do. Well, I do football at the low level. Just Monday through Thursday and Saturday morning stuff right now.
Okay.
And then baseball. It's baseball season right now, so yeah, do about 3 games a week for baseball. So keeps
You
me
do
busy.
stay pretty busy in sports then.
Yes. Yeah. During school year, try not
Okay.
to do anything during the summer.
Okay.
I'll occasionally go out and work I think Carroll has a league. I like working their little league.
Okay.
So
And from what I hear, you have about 1,433 kids.
just 13 children,
Okay.
13 children, nine in-laws. So there's 22 there, and then 26 grandkids. So,
I've always heard
yeah,
that running joke in the
yeah.
locker room. Oh, Bob has 13,000 kids, and I'm
Yeah.
like, what does that
Yeah.
even mean? 13 kids.
13 children.
What
Beautiful.
youngest age and oldest age?
The oldest is 40, just turned 40 this year, and the youngest is 21.
Wow.
So.
I remember when you used to live in New Haven. I don't know if you still live in New Haven.
Nope, we are out in Huntertown, north of Huntertown.
I remember I came to your house years ago for some reason, maybe dropping something off. You lived on that main drag, just coming into New Haven.
Beautiful brick house.
Yes, I
yeah,
remember
right there,
that.
1100 Lincoln Highway
I
East.
remember
Yeah.
that. I don't know why I was
It
there.
was 1040 Lincoln Highway East.
Yeah.
Beautiful place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you do for a living now, Bob?
I work for Bishop Lewis High School. I'm the director of maintenance out there.
Oh,
So
I didn't know that.
yeah, been doing that the last 15 months or so.
Okay.
Had gone back to work for the diocese 2012, 2015. I don't even remember, but was just doing maintenance for some of the small parish schools, and they had an opening and were looking for somebody out at Bishop Lures. I thought, I can go back home for a bit, and so
You've been in maintenance a long time.
I have been in school environment in a long time. I have
Okay.
been in maintenance. Started with Southwest Allen County Schools probably 20 years ago.
I seem to
think. It's
remember
2005, somewhere in there.
you used to work in administration at a
At
private school
Fort Wayne
off,
Christian. Fort Wayne Christian Schools on Laverne Avenue.
yeah, over off of East State.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yep.
Because that building, I don't know what they ended up doing with it, but I remember going in there when I was in education.
Yep.
For some reason and talking to you when you were there.
Yep.
And
Yeah, it's a great place. Great place, great group of kids that came through there.
how long were you with that?
About 2 years.
Oh, you were there a
2 years,
short
yeah.
period.
Yep.
So, do you prefer being in administration in school systems?
No,
or-
I love what I'm doing now. I don't have to,
You have as many
the headaches-
decisions to
The
make.
headaches that they have nowadays. It's just
Yeah, you're right.
So in the 38 years that you've officiated,
Mm-hmm.
what is a career highlight, or maybe you have more than one, something that sticks out in your mind?
Oh my.
He's
you know,
so
there-
many.
I was going to say there's probably
there
a
are-
lot.
You know, I don't think about I can't think of the really highlight games. There's a couple games. Like I remember when I was up and coming, Snyder and Concordia are playing in packed house at the
Okay.
Cage, and it's just an absolute. And it's 2-man system.
Snyder and
I
who?
mean, Snyder and Concordia.
At Concordia.
Glenn Parrish, and
They
Coach
call Concordia the Cage.
the Cage.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Glenn Parrish and I think Coach Rousseau, Jim
Mhm.
Rousseau was the coach,
Mhm.
and play came down to the last second shot, and I had to wipe it off, and and of course everybody's mad at you at the beginning, but then I saw Coach Rousseau a week or so later, and he says, "Hey, it was a good call. The ball was in the guy's hand when the horn went off," and so, and that's the other thing I love about basketball is you have to make a decision.
Yeah.
You have to make a decision. It's not, and the one nice thing about high school sports at the present time is that we don't have replay. We don't have to go to a
Right.
monitor
Right.
every time that something. I called what I saw. Could I have missed it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could have missed it.
Mhm.
I could have missed it.
Right.
And from the coach's angle, they always think that I missed it because it
Right.
went against them.
Right.
So that is a regular season highlight, and that's probably 30 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Just one of those things. Other highlights, I'm working at Warsaw. Warsaw High School is just a great environment back in the day.
Because the coach who just retired, he was there then, right?
Coach Al
Al.
Rhodes. Coach Rhodes was there.
Al
and,
Rhodes.
But I broke in under one of his assistants that took over. But Al was so intense, and
Yes.
just an absolute.
Till the day he
but-
retired.
Absolutely, but he loved the game of basketball.
Yes, he did.
And
Yes,
he
does.
loved education-based athletics,
Yes.
and that's the other thing that I still enjoy about high school basketball. It's, we don't have all the money down here yet, and so
Very good
and
statement.
hopefully it doesn't get to that
Yeah.
point
Right.
at high school.
Right.
But it could. So,
Yeah.
Now, how about state finals? How many state finals have you?
I've been fortunate. I've done 2 girls basketball state finals, 1 boys, 2 baseball, and 2 football. And so
Wow.
I've had the opportunity to be there. So
Nice
it's a
record.
great, again, absolute blast. One of the state finals was in Terre Haute. The year
Okay.
because I don't know if I forget why they were transitioning away, but that was very unique, very unique, and very enjoyable.
Yes,
Very enjoyable.
very much so.
Now, you also have, out of your 13, I know that you have at least 2 sons that officiate.
Well,
Is that correct?
My oldest son, Alexander, he is an active official now. I
Okay.
had Jonathan, my younger son, but he's going through a life transition right now. They've adopted. They've had a baby. They're in the process of foster to adopting 2 more, and they're going to have another baby. So he's just back to being busy.
Okay.
So with life, and
Yeah.
so he has stepped out of it. But all
Okay.
of my boys, and I've always encouraged all of my children, get an officiating license when
Yeah.
you go to college.
Yes.
It is absolutely the best part-time job you can have.
Yes.
Middle school athletic directors will love you.
Yep.
Yes.
You can go and work, and from 3:30 to 6:30, you're not doing anything anyways.
Right. Go make
Wasting
some money.
time.
Yeah.
Right.
Go make $60.
Yeah, correct.
Do that a couple times a week. You got $100. So
Spending
those
money,
were just
right.
encouragements, and some of them enjoy it. Some of them did it. Some of them didn't. That's decisions that they get to make.
Mhm.
Now, Alex is still doing basketball and baseball?
He's just basketball. He
basketball.
was the
Okay.
head coach at Goshen College, and
Okay.
so his basketball season pretty much ended the end of February.
Okay.
So
Part of the reason we're asking about that, Bob, is we were talking to Joey
Johnson.
Johnson.
sure.
And we were telling him about the podcast, and he at the banquet he got overexcited, and we're like, Joey, calm down. And he goes, no, Crane. And you know how Joey is. No, Crane. Okay, Tanya, Crane, listen to this. I got this great idea, and it was a great idea.
Yeah.
He was saying that we should have on
Basically,
relatives who are in
relatives.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah.
father, son, because our first show was with Sydney.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so, having that family environment, and people don't realize that it does kind of become a family,
Correct. Because
business.
well, it's a family business because my family needs to know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
But then it becomes an extension of my family because of the people that we meet
Yes.
and become our friends
Right.
and
Yes.
become our family
Right.
within that.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah. And we thought it was a good idea, and I think I don't know what he called it, but he was saying, yeah, we could have. He didn't want to come on with it. I'm not gonna touch that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was. Yeah,
it's
we
all
said,
good.
yeah, we want to have you and you and your dad on.
And he
No,
changed the subject.
no. He's like, the show will be all about dad, and we're like, yeah, you're right, it would be. So Joey might not get any words in, but
And then we started thinking about all the people that have relatives. Of course, the inner lines.
Yep.
They're
Yep.
world famous. And then Tush,
Tush,
Yep.
him and his
And
son.
Andrew.
you guys, us, and there's
There's a ton.
and
So
we were trying to think of
yeah.
all the people that
Correct.
have brought in relatives. They're the 2 brothers, the volleyball officials,
oh yeah.
Zigglers.
the
Zigglers.
Zigglers.
Yep.
Dale and Norm. Yep.
So there's a lot of people.
Yeah,
And
Dale's one of the officials that I worked basketball with because he worked with me, and so
That's
yeah,
right. Dale used to do basketball.
Yeah.
I forgot. Mhm.
And there are a lot of officials who used to do basketball, and then they've transitioned out of that and gotten
Correct.
more sports that they don't have to physically run as or
Right,
be as.
correct.
Volleyball is one of those sports that I never thought I would do. She made me do it. But now I
Yeah,
love it.
because he had bad hips, and I
Yeah.
was
Yeah,
like, well, you can't.
you get to stand there. You get to move back
Yeah.
and forth, side to side.
I'm like,
still
you
have
can't
to
run
make
up and down the
rulings.
court. So until he had his hip surgery, and then when he got both his hips done, then he was able to.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
It. I tell you what, it was a blessing though. It was truly a blessing.
Yeah, it keeps you involved in games.
Yeah.
It
Keeps
does.
you, and keeps you around kids.
It
and
does.
There
It
is
does.
just so much energy in high school
They
athletics.
have
and
unlimited energy.
They have and sometimes it just needs to be tempered down
Yeah.
a little bit. And just,
well, and then you might want to blow your whistle every now and then just to breathe, right? So
Well.
you're like, oh,
That's the other thing about having the whistle is, you can slow it down
Oh,
if you need to.
He told me that one time he blew his whistle and he
I
was
didn't
like,
do
"Oh,
it. I didn't
there's
do
something
it.
there on the floor.
I
hold
didn't
up,
do
my
it.
time."
I didn't do it. I told you that actually Clark taught me that. Clark Hamilton, he goes, sometimes.
Pretend to pick something up off the floor and put it in your pocket.
He was joking, I
Yeah.
think.
Uh-huh.
He
No,
said,
I've heard stories. I've heard stories.
I don't
you
know. After what
there's-
we said last week or something about Clark throwing the rule book out,
yeah.
hey.
And
Yeah.
you know what? Dave Benjali said the same thing.
Yeah.
He goes, sometimes, even though the rules are there, sometimes you just got to throw the rule book out the window. And I think what he meant was sometimes you have to
Use common sense.
use common sense in the moment.
Yeah.
Correct.
And
Correct, because the rules can't override. Well, they can at times,
but they shouldn't.
but you should be able to fall back on the rule in regards to why you administered it in that fashion.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Right? This happened. This is how I'm going to adjudicate it,
Mhm.
and this is how I can. This is the rule.
How I can back it up.
This is the rule that I don't want to say justifies. This is the rule that shows me that that can be done. So
Did you hear the word he used? Clark used to use that word all the time.
Adjudicate.
adjudicate.
You sound so professional. Adjudicate.
All right. So
We talk about rules. We need to go into
we need to go into points of emphasis or rules that
pet peeves.
or pet peeves that kind of if you have a pet peeve about something.
My biggest pet peeve right now is kids not wearing uniforms properly.
Oh,
Just-
bingo,
Oh.
All you gotta do,
bingo,
is tuck your shirt in, son,
bingo,
daughter,
bingo.
young
Thank
lady,
you.
You know,
I'm not alone.
well, and oh man, that's just minutia. It is. It
That is a very good way you put that. Minutia.
It is.
We
like
know that's
minutia.
not what they say.
Correct. And you're right. And that's like, we have to go over and ask the coaches, hey, is everybody legal and properly equipped?
Right.
Will everybody wear their uniform properly at all times? And will everybody behave? And when the coach says yes,
I gotta
then-
write that down. That's pretty good.
then when the kid comes out for the tip and their shirt isn't tucked in, hey, tuck your shirt in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then one thing that he started doing was going up to him and say, you want to go to the NBA? And the kid be like, yeah, okay. In the NBA, they're required to tuck their shirts in or else they get fined. No.
Yeah.
And we're like, no,
yeah.
they
And
have
at the college level, every rule book addresses uniforms.
So-
Every one.
So how about when you're working with a couple of partners that don't enforce it? How do you handle that?
I just enforce it.
Okay.
I say, hey, well, and the options are, you can tuck your shirt in, or I can get a sub because I get to direct you to leave the game.
Right.
Right.
And I've had coaches go, well, you can't do. Yeah, I can.
Yeah, they're not properly equipped.
because so you can address it with him sitting next to you for a minute. Have him tuck his shirt in. We'll run some time off the clock, and you can send him back in.
Yeah.
But it's not. It is difficult because kids they have that bit of rebellion in them,
Right.
Mhm.
and yet sports is designed, I believe, to teach us some rules in regards
Discipline.
to how discipline and how we should act in society.
Very
Mhm.
good.
And
Very good.
it's called education-based athletics for a reason. It's you want to go down to the park and take your shirt off and play, or wear your
Pants
pants
hanging.
hanging. I
Yeah.
don't care. But when you're on a basketball floor, you're supposed to look like a basketball player, and that involves you tucked shirt.
See, this is
Wait,
why we got him in.
wearing-
He's
wearing-
See,
good.
I knew it.
Now I got to go
That's-
back, Bob, because I wanted to write that part down. When
You can listen to it later.
No, I got to get this. He says, "Is everybody legally and properly equipped?" That's a question we asked.
Correct.
But the last thing you said is everyone going to behave? In between there, you asked another question when you go do the captain's meetings. What did you say?
Will everybody, are your uniforms legal, and will everybody wear them properly?
That's what it is. Will
So-
everybody wear them properly?
So how about the jewelry rule? How do you like that one?
Oh, in baseball, I love it. I don't care if they wear jewelry.
But in basketball,
no.
how about the ones who come out with tape on their?
Sorry, you don't get to play. You don't get to play.
I went to a format where I don't even ask. Like some officials might go up and say, "What do you have underneath?" I don't ask. I just say, "You need to go take that off," because I already know what's under there.
Yeah.
But
and then you'll get some that'll say, "Oh, it's a scratch." Oh, let me see.
Yeah. No, and there's ways to address it, and,
Right.
and that's to me is a good one, and it's like the likelihood of them getting injured because of it is slim. Understand that.
Yeah.
I do. But the likelihood of them getting injured is slim, and that could hurt somebody else or could hurt them.
Yep.
And you know what? Their mom and dad are going to come and say, well, you didn't enforce the rule.
Exactly.
In regards to, because it's a safety thing.
Exactly.
So always enforce the safety stuff.
Yeah, I like that. That's why I took those notes. That's good.
That was very
I see
good.
why we had him on now. So, Bob, another question I want to slide into, like baseball, slide in there. The need of officials. Let's address that a little bit. So, why do you think there's such, well, you said 38 years ago there was a major need for officials.
Sure.
There still is today.
Still is.
Okay, so why do you think those needs are there?
Because society as a whole just rejects all sorts of authority.
I agree.
It's just plain and simple.
Very well put.
I got my sons working some local baseball, softball league stuff, and parents are yelling at 16 to 18-year-old kids about how they're sticking it to a 10-year-old or a 9-year-old or an 11-year-old who's up there standing with a bat, and they thought that the ball was a ball, and they called it a strike. Let's get on with life, folks. You paid for your son or daughter to participate in an activity, and I've always been of the approach, especially in regards to lower level stuff, is you want to teach the kid to hit the ball.
Right.
There aren't very many people in the major leagues that take walks. They do take walks, and they get paid very well to do it, but they didn't get there by taking walks.
Right.
They got there because they could hit the ball, they could play and field the ball. And the number of kids that have come through Fort Wayne, Indiana that are major league ball players, we've had 4 or 5 in the past 10, 15
50
years.
50 years?
I'm thinking
You
of
said 10,
Kevin.
15.
I'm thinking of Kiermaier.
Are you talking baseball?
Baseball.
Yeah. Okay.
Basketball, there's even less than that.
Correct.
As good
Yeah.
as Deshaun Thomas was.
He never made it
Never
to
made
the
it
NBA.
to the NBA. He was the best $5. I tell people all the time, man, you got $5 to spend on a basketball game, go see Deshaun play.
Correct.
He was just
Legit.
He played.
Yes.
But he just played, and
Right.
he was a gentleman.
Yes. Very much so.
On and off the court. And I think his mom instilled that in him is, hey, be nice. If nothing else, be nice. And so, and she's always a lovely person when you see her out.
Right. Right.
About.
Now,
So
Deshaun played at Bishop Lewis, right?
he did.
Okay.
He did. And I actually had the chance, because I wasn't working within the school system. I would ref his games and stuff. I remember having him at Warsaw.
Yeah.
And I still he threw a ball in from the corner one time. I just, wow. You just sit there and go, wow. And Coach Blackman is an intense individual, as he
Yes.
consistently oh man.
Right.
He would get on you. But, that I think he smiled when Deshaun played. I think he did. I don't know. I'm not sure. But I think he did. I think he smiled when his sons played.
Yes, I think he did.
James is just such an intense guy.
Yeah.
He loves the game. But I just remember that with Deshaun, and I'm going, yeah, that's.
And when you talk about intense coaches, there's been a lot of them in Fort Wayne. Who are some of the more intense coaches you can remember on the girls' side out of Fort Wayne over the years?
Wow.
Yeah, that one's got you thinking, huh? Because I could think of one, and I know you can think of the same one.
I don't know.
Your friend.
Juanita Goodwell is
That's exactly who
she's
we're
still the
talking
current
about.
coach at Southside.
Correct.
She has toned down. She is
has.
intense
Yes.
towards the girls now,
Yes.
so more so than the officials.
Correct. Yes.
Because she wants the kids, and she wanted us as officials.
she wants everybody to get it.
Yeah, she wants us to work our tails
Yes,
off.
she
Yep.
does. Because she works her tail off on
She
that
does.
sideline.
She does. And we should be, and again, we should work at it.
Yes.
You're right.
If you're not working at it, what are you doing? You're taking up space. You're making
Right.
you're making your little $80 so you
Yeah.
can do what?
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Go do it again.
Yeah, go
pretty
do
much.
it again. And so, but again, she is intense towards her players. And when she first started, she was intense towards everybody. So she's redirected that a little bit.
A lot of it.
Yeah.
I think her coaching has gotten better because she's matured as a coach. And I think
Yeah.
she's become more
Well,
effective.
and I think we all do. I mean, I think
Exactly.
I've gotten better because I've matured as an official.
Right.
Amen.
I remember one time talking to a captain while the coach is standing right there, and the coach is going, "Well, why aren't you talking to me?" And I'm going, "Well, because the book says I'm supposed to address the captain so he can address you, instead of
Right.
me being a man and talking to the man
Right.
and telling him, hey, this is what I need, this is what I'm looking for."
Mhm.
And I've had coaches object to me talking to kids. I mean,
Right.
but I'm not coaching them. I'm just saying they ask me a question and I've responded to them.
Right.
There are some coaches that say, "Don't talk to my players," and
I've had some.
I can adjust to that.
Right.
I can do that.
Right.
You're probably not going to like me.
Right.
You're going to like me a little less because
Correct.
my only other option is to foul or call a violation
Mhm.
Yep.
or whatever. And sometimes they're okay with that.
And I've had some coaches say that to me. I had one coach get very, very adamant with me during a time. He yelled at me, called a timeout, and he called me over. I go over. I said, "What?" He goes, "Why are you talking to my kids? Why are you no?" He said, "Don't coach my kids." And I looked at him. I said, "Coach, I'm not coach. You were coaching him. What'd you say to him?" I said, "Well, I told him that's coaching him." I said, "Okay." And I'm like you. I adjusted. It angered me, but at the same time, it bothered me because we're youth developers just like the coaches are as
Yeah.
officials.
Correct.
And no matter what we say to these kids, we are coaching them in the broadest definition of the word. So when you say you don't want me coaching your kids, to me, that's not a very
every time
intelligent thing.
if I call a foul,
I'm coaching
I'm
them.
coaching them because I'm
Correct.
telling them
Telling
that.
you cheated.
Yeah.
Telling you cheated. That's you can't do that. That's cheating.
I'm gonna have to use that. I like that. You cheated. I
Yeah.
gotta hit you for that.
Yeah, that's a foul. That's a foul. What'd I do? Well, you can't.
Well, I
hit
can't.
You
Well, I
can't
can't
hit
tell you. You
can't
got to
hit-
go ask your
yeah,
coach.
Can't hit a shooter on their
Yeah.
hand. It's just you cheated.
You cheated.
Just works.
Yeah, I thought we're the ones that are always accused of being the cheaters. So
Yeah, no, and that's the other thing you wanted to talk about in regards to, people think that I'm going to stick it to their son or daughter for
Yeah.
$80, and
Right.
I could
Yeah.
care less.
It's just another game, Mom. and
even
Dad.
at the college level where we make a little bit more money.
Yeah,
It's another game.
but I want to do the best I can so I can work another game.
Yes.
Correct.
So I can work.
Yes.
Because I want to work for that coach.
Right.
If I didn't want to work for that coach or at that school or for that game, I know how to decline games.
I'll be honest with you, Bob. I'm different. I don't want to work for any coaches. I want to work for the participants in that contest.
For the kids.
Gotcha.
And that, to me, and if the coach happens to be a participant, which they are,
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. But I've talked to other officials that said, "Well, the coaches are the boss." I'm going, I don't see
No,
it that
the
way.
coaches are not the boss.
I don't see it that way.
Yeah, the coaches aren't. But then as officials, I'm not the boss either.
Exactly. It's
Yeah, and
not
some
a
guys
you or
and
me.
some guys walk in like, "Hey, it's all about me."
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
and some people think
It's
that,
all about
that
us.
it's some people
really
look at me
not.
walk out there and they go, "Ah, here he is tonight."
Yeah.
I try to
Just be a part of the
yeah.
contest.
I'm
Do
just
my
going to do
job.
what little I can.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do what
Just
little
do,
I can.
just do the best job we can out
Yep.
there.
Well, in talking about the need of officials, getting ready to close out here, but in talking about the need of officials, Bob, you probably know that, I think we do the RTS, Referee Training School, and we are always on the lookout for recruiting and training new people. So what things do you think we can do better to attract more people to the officiating side? As I like to tell people, coming over to the dark side. What can we do?
Well, to get them to come over to the dark side, they have to see or they have to have been involved. To me, at some point in the game,
Okay.
they have to former player, former coach.
Okay.
We've had coaches come over to the dark side.
Yes, we have.
There's
And they've done a good, some of them have
I've
done a
had
good job.
officials and I've had officials go over to the other dark side.
Yeah, that's the true dark side. Yeah.
but and we have to get people, and we have to get more fans and individuals just to lighten up
Yes.
a little bit. We are so high strung within our society that everything is personal, and it's me against you, and it's you against me, it's you against him, it's her against he.
Yeah.
That's got to stop.
Yeah.
It's got to stop. I try to tell people, God is too good, life is too short. What are we fighting about?
Exactly. I think about that all the time.
One thing I think about too, when we have fans on the side thinking that we're cheating or that, we're not doing a very good job or this or that. one thing that fans don't understand is that every game is a learning situation, not only for the kids and the coaches, but also for us.
Very much so.
You know, as you know, so I'm a new official when it comes to wheelchair basketball. We do wheelchair basketball officiating, and I'm new at it. How am I going to learn if I'm not in the game?
Yeah.
If I'm not on the court during a game, how can I get better? How can I improve? Just by reading a book?
Yeah.
Reading a rule book does not help. I mean, yeah, it tells me the
you
rules,
have to see plays.
but now I have to see plays, and I have to understand what you consider, you know, major contact or minor contact, because some of it, you know, they look at and they're like, oh, okay, no big deal, and others they're like, oh my God, I was fouled. Okay, but it was similar to that just happened down there, and nobody yelled.
Nobody yelled. Yeah.
And so, you know, fans, players, they don't understand that we have to learn also, and we have to learn by being out there.
Yeah.
And that's it. That is it. You talk about that, and that was one of my worst experiences in regards to an officiating experience with wheelchair basketball.
Okay.
I had somebody just get irate because I called something, and I'm going, and you know, and I'm going, it was just a play that I saw, and I made a ruling.
You made made a quick ruling on what you thought was the right thing to thing to call.
And the guy went ballistic, and I'm going, okay, I don't need this.
Right.
So I walked away, and so good luck finding. And I'm sure they found other people.
Right.
And
but they're hurting for officials too, and that's the thing that you know. We just came back from a tournament this weekend, and you know we had a couple of the wheelchair guys that were apparently also officials, but they weren't officials for this weekend. They were players. Yeah. And so they're getting frustrated and yelling and carrying on, and I'm thinking, okay, but you know, we're all learning.
Yeah, but and why? What is the purpose in getting upset?
Right. Yeah. It's not helping me, you know.
And it's going to prolong the game.
Yeah. And correct. And so here, okay, again, I saw it. Now we're going to adjudicate. We're going to put the ball back in play. And that's the other thing. Yeah. We come back to a philosophy of when the game goes to crap, put the ball back in play because something stupid's going to happen again, and we'll get it going. Yeah, because my time limit's going to coming.
We want to get to zeros.
And speaking of time limits and getting to zero, we're about to say goodbye.
Up.
But we just want to thank you for coming by, Bob.
Thank you so
much.
Really
appreciate
it.
Man.
Awesome.
We've been looking forward to having you, Bob, Mr. Roos Childers.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming
good luck to you.
Thank you.
We'll be calling on you again. We may be calling you in for that relative
you and Alex.
We'll see.
All right. Thanks a lot, Bob. We'll see you later.
Thank you.
Thanks again for listening to Ref Time, powered by RefTrainingschool.com and Hoosier3on3.com. Produced by Coraggio Media, Ref Time is recorded in WELT Studios in beautiful downtown Fort Wayne, Indiana.
To join RTS, visit RefTrainingschool.com. Please like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Until next time.